Yeah. Uh, Thank you, Professor Krishna. Though it was very short notice, but I really was looking forward to an opportunity to be in the groove for delivering my lecture. Because I've worked for so many years, as you said, I have worked in various areas of waste management. And I think about 20 years back, I looked at waste as a resource. So I had published a couple of papers on that in recovery, secondary resource, etc. So this one is specifically pertaining to the plastics which are there in packaging. And because the challenges, opportunities, Professor Dubey had already given on general waste management, and he has given a very exhaustive. I went through all his presentations and other presentations which were related in the subject. So I just thought everybody has gone through in an exhaustive manner. So I am not going to go on the same path. I'm going to take a little digression so that I can give an idea about the packaging. I did not find any specific presentation on packaging, so I just thought I had, since I've been working for the last 10 years now on packaging. So I just thought I'll give an accountable account on the packaging, the plastics that are there in the packaging. So here, as far as the plastic waste, this is general data saying that what is the global projection of plastic waste. The projection for 2025 is 460 million metric tons per year, and it is expected to reach about 590 million metric tons if the consumption pattern and manufacturing and use of plastic is going to be at the same rate at 2050. But imagine right now itself, most of our water bodies, land, everything is choked with plastic. If we are going to use and discard the plastic, then it's going to be a big, it's going to be a human disaster. Now, India is one of the largest producers, though producers of plastic waste globally. Always, it has been accounted to be that the visible plastic waste production is from India, and it's amounting to about 9.5 million tons. And this record was 2024 data, and the the issues that have been associated with it is the high volume of plastic waste generation is due to urbanization, population growth, and increasing consumption of plastic. I would also say that a huge amount of plastic waste is generated ever since we adopted the principle of throwaway business, when we started using a plastic for one single use and discarding it. So there is an association or the closeness of the single use plastic. So I will give a few features about single use plastic, but by and large, I'm going to talk about the packaging waste. And whatever things are found in the water bodies or ocean or whatever is called as plastic pollution today actually is attributed to the plastic which is there in packaging. The packaging could be in the form of containers, it could be in the form of pouches, or in the form of bags, the polyethylene bags, etc. So all these are different forms of packaging. And but when we associate the plastic, we associate generally by and large with the municipal solid waste. Wherever, whenever I say that any law that has been, there is a dedicated plastic waste management rules in India, but the plastic waste is there in municipal waste, it's there in biomedical waste, it's there in e-waste, it's there in automotive waste. Now it's also there in textile waste because we had the blend fabrics. So, but if you look at the volume or the magnitude of plastic waste, it is mostly from the packaging. So packaging constitutes the largest portion. And if we are going to uh, see the recycling capabilities, we were very much ahead in recycling. We were doing a lot of recycling, and we still are doing. But the recycling is through the informal sector. So picking up the plastic, doing recycling to a certain extent and not in a proper way, actually it is an environmentally polluting phenomena, is very low, and it's about 10 million tons, 9.9 million tons. It's around 10 to 12 million tons. We have a few bigger industries which also do recycling, and they produce secondary plastics. But then the quality becomes a major issue. Now, plastics in packaging, I know all of you know about the plastics because there must have been a number of lectures, because um, uh, we have been listening to a number of. But here, when we look at the packaging, we have the monolayer packaging, multi-layer packaging, the shopping and liner bags, stretch film, shrink film, cling, the cling thing which we use for the kitchen, for our fruits and vegetables also, and barrier film, bubble wrap. So if you name it, all these are the used in packaging. So if you look at all these types of plastics, they are all going for packaging. So if you look at your package, there will be something or the other from the contribution from the plastic. So you can read through, but there has been some packaging which actually fuses plastic with other material like metal or paper or even cardboards. So that particular packaging becomes more complicated because of the plastic which is get mixed with the other media, and you cannot separate them so easily, and that's where the problem comes. But basic plastic packaging is, why do we adopt plastic packaging? Because plastic is, as you know, when I say goody things about plastic, it's plastic is versatile. It plays a critical role in protecting, preserving, transporting, and its flexibility, durability. Above all, it's cost effective. It's very cheap, because any other material, if you're going to substitute plastic with, it's going to be very expensive. And certain things like food, beverage, that is one of the major industry consuming plastic in their packaging. The other is the pharma. Pharma plastics are also now combined with multi-layered, some other metal is also there, something is there. But the pharma plastic is also very essential because it gives the shelf life to the medicines and pharmaceuticals. So these are the, because to increase the shelf life, retain the material in its pristine form, one of the important things in the packaging is plastic. So you have various types of packaging, and the plastic packaging basically, now it has become an integral part of our life, and we know that we cannot do without it. It's very nice to know that yes, plastic is good, but then it's not the plastic, as Professor Dubey has been often saying that this is a mismanagement of the plastic. Plastic per se is good, so it will save a lot of things. If you want to carry your liquid material or the milk or something, you can't carry in paper. You have to carry in another container, which may be a metal or a glass. But the best one is plastic, because plastic is very light. It will carry the volume very easily. In India, what happens, even the cooked food, which is put in polythene, maybe a cup of tea or maybe a vegetable with all the masala, etc., that also is taken in the polythene bag, because nothing is so cheap as that. So they carry it across. So the packaging basically is convenience oriented, availability, and cheap. The three things that is there, that makes it very big choice, and from the poorest of poor to richest of the richer. So, the key features which I have already told you, the versatility, durability, cost effectiveness, lightweight, and it has a very good barrier property. It doesn't leak out, it doesn't allow things to get mixed. So, that is one of the major reasons why plastic packaging is taken care of. And it prevents the food material from getting spoiled, because it doesn't allow the oxygen content to mix with it, and it doesn't allow it to rot. Rest of it, all of you know, so I don't want to go into detail. But these are the basic things because of which we have an eye for plastic in packaging. The common things that are packaged is the food and beverage, I have already told. Healthcare, which contains medicines, medical devices, personal care production products, and now with the experience in COVID, you know how much of PP was used. Plastics were the best for the personal protection, and the only convenience that was there, that after you use, because COVID was very highly infectious, so you could throw away. So it became on the throwaway community. I'll just speak about it a little bit little later. One minute I'll take to really make you understand what is really the throwaway system. This another one is the consumer materials. The consumer yesterday, when I think last time when Professor Dubey was talking about the automobile, etc., where the consumer goods, automobile, electronics, toys, household items, everything, when they want to make the weight lighter, so in comparison to any other material, glass or metal or anything, plastic makes it light. So the lightweight materials are always convenient to carry and convenient to use. So and also they cost less in shipping because you can pay less. So the plastic packaging is not just the product, but also the it also has certain association with the brand. So here I'll like to give about the understanding in India about the plastics before I go to the types of plastic being used. I'll just speak one line because all of you know, and these things have been spoken by Professor Dubey also earlier. So he has given the pictorial one. I'm just giving a narrative one because what is the specific plastic that is used in specific things? For example, the soft drink bottles, etc. They have PET bottles, and PET, as has been told, that it is usually food grade containers. It gives a very good storage shelf life to the product, and it can be easily handled. But post consumer, this particular commodity, the plastic, has been found to be one of the good materials which gives fibers out of which even your textile is made today. The sports goods are all made from PET. And also the next one is the HDP and LDP. The high density polyethylene and low density polyethylene both are also used for food packaging, and it is also having but the challenge is, like, you have the plastic bags which are low density, which are more flexible, but the only difference between the two, one is that high density would be more expensive, and it has a lot of, all both of these are used for preventing the moisture from entering the material. And it has it can shrink, it can stretch, the at least the LDP, but HDP has got a very, it will not do that. But definitely the plastics which are there, and this is another important packaging material, because the polyethylene, the entire polyethylene family is used for a lot of food product being packaged, and industrial packaging, or it could be even at your or at individual level, like we do the wrapping with the films. So both of them, but the recycling is a challenge for LDP. As a result, all the trash that we see mostly is made out of LDP. The LDP is the one which is very thin in nature, and it keeps flying around. So this is one of the things which we have found it to be very difficult to manage, especially in India. Even though we have banned certain gauging, we said it cannot be less than 50 microns, and but still you do not know what goes into the manufacture. HTP has a very big use, and it is also used because this is it's one of the part of the liner systems for the containment of the waste in the landfills. Then polypropylene, we are, all of us are familiar now. We are having lot of containers made out of polypropylene for food storage container. In addition to that, PP is also used in the pipelines, water pipelines, as well as the electric conduits. So there is a huge usage of polypropylene, and polypropylene is basically a packing material, and it can be it has a recyclability. It's recyclable, and but the collection system and the value for it is very low. It's not comparable to HDP or PET. So that's why its acceptance is low, and it when you recycle, the recycled material is also not coming out to be very good. But the PP, recycled PP, is usually used in the battery cables and also the battery casing. So that's one of the major uses. Then styrofoam, this is one of the menace. I will call it a plastic menace because it goes for We have huge the bandara, and we call it the poor people, when we have the festivals and all, we give a lot of food. So all that is, this was being used. But this is really, it is lightweight, it flies, it can be used as a container, but after one use it crumples. It's not retainable for further use, whereas HDP you can use again and again. So, and PET you can use, polypropylene you can use again. But here, the other next problem is the recyclability. It has absolutely no recyclability, and it's least environmentally friendly. Now, of course, the last one, the polyvinyl chloride. This is also used for containers. The all the medical equipment where there's a flexible tubing, flexible pouches, all the blood pouch, etc., is made out of PVC. And all of us know about our wiring, the cables which are having the flexible sheathing, which is used from PVC. So PVC is basic, very big packaging material for prevention of, especially in the cables, etc. It's very good for shock proofing, and it doesn't catch fire, it only melts, so it becomes easy for us. So basic, these are the few things which I could do. But definitely the chlorinated plastics are not to be used for certain other things like the containers and leachable material. At home, this one of the things that in India happens is that when you bring a container with material like PET or plastics, or which we can reuse at home, so it's usually reused. The other family is the polycarbonate, which is now the from the eyewear, glasses, etc., which is also reusable. Water bottles have come now, and also the bioplastics. These are the two newer plastics which are biodegradable, and they have a commonness of, they can be a good alternative as to traditional plastics. So it has, now we are progressing towards the ones which are environmentally friendly and biodegradable. Now, selecting the right plastic is another thing, which is one of the things which we, despite the fact we know that it is long lasting and all that, the suitability to a particular container, the plastic which is to be used for particular purpose, maybe it's food storage, food and beverages, or it could be for just for wrapping, or it could be for containment of medical medicines. So all these things have specific purpose. The packaging becomes very crucial, and it has to be properly done and properly sealed, so that the material contained in it is foolproof, so that it doesn't have any leakages to for being contaminated. So this is one of the things, and this is the reason why we say, to prevent spoilage, mostly in the food area, we put this as a condition. So that's how. But some of the containers shown in this picture, I will say that nowadays the black color plastic, which is actually a contaminant, it could be made out of anything, because it becomes a contaminated plastic. Though the so it could have a leaching property, so we always prefer the transparent or translucent plastic against it. And the food materials, or food wrapping materials, are also shown here. Now I'll just give the headings, because these things you can read. Some of the things, how do we do a selection of the right plastics for packaging? Okay, for it has certain criteria which has been laid out. We say product protection and preservation. Where it goes in the most of the things in food, beverages, and as well as the medicines and pharma. So here we choose, essentially most of the things are going through the PET, or the combine, or which could be a fusion plastics with the other material. Then next one we see is consumer safety. Consumer safety is another important thing. When we do a packaging, the food is safe, it doesn't leak out, it doesn't tear off, and the risk, and also risk for harmful chemical exposures. So the food food thing has to be BPA free and HTP, or polypropylene. But as far as the material is concerned, it is selected based on the consumer's requirement. The other one is the environmental impact. These are five essential things which I'm just pointing out, because of the right selection, which will actually give a lot of push to the packaging which will be safe. Then selecting as recyclable material is one of the important things for environment. So we choose either PET or HDP, which is safe for recycling. Then another one is, of course, we go for cost efficiency. We wouldn't like to go for expensive material, but plastics really become very cheap, even if they have very nicely colored, very nicely shaped, everything. It can be molded into any shape and all that. So all said and done, the cost efficiency comes then we compromise on the quality. From HDP, we come down to LDP. So LDP is the more flexible, durable, and it also can be stretched. So it's one of the things which actually tones down the activity. The last one is a product performance. How long can it withstand? The strength of the material and also its stress due to exposure, physical impacts, as well as the impacts due to sunlight or chemical impacts. So this one of the thing is that now we have come to the terminology called eco-friendly options, the durable materials and cost-effective solutions. Whatever is environmentally safe to use, we call them eco-friendly. So in the plastics also, we have actually classified the plastics for packaging, which will be eco-friendly, which will not harm your food. At the same time, you can dispose it off in a manner so that it is safe for disposal. It doesn't cause any adverse effects on the environment. So some of the packaging, of course, this is just a pictorial representation. You can see the containers in the form of bottles, the other ones which is in the form of tin, etc., the pressurized containers. Then you have the Coke and others, which are the PET bottles. These are the polypropylene bottles. Then you also have the wrappers. Wrappers are another big menace, because the wrappers are also composite. They're not simple, because they have the metallic thing, they have the printing which actually contains all the attractive thing. At the same time, they are safe in packing your food. So broadly, I'm not going through in details of the packaging, because that itself is a full lesson. I may have to go through the whole hour. So I'm just informing you. The primary packaging is for basically for food, beverages and medicine, and sometimes like flowers, etc., can be done. Secondary packaging is the one where there is a container. The container is also put inside another container. So that means you have a two-layered packaging, so that there is a safety in transportation of the material. So many of the materials are done. The tertiary ones are the ones where you have the equipment safety. So you may have an outer container, then you may have the cushioning material, which may be like the thermocol, etc., which is not very good. But we are now trying to bubble pack thermocol, etc., as that. Then you have the inside one for the safety. So where you need more material, so we call it a tertiary packaging. Now, the packaging has been identified, not today, but long back also. Packaging was identified as the most polluting source for the environment. So, because we are not, once we remove the material, we are not bothered about the packaging. Now, if we have to make the packaging an important one, we have to see how we bring the packaging back for recycling or reuse. So, this is where the plastic pollution was triggered because of the packaging. And the packaging plastics were the ones where, if you look at them, when we find the PET bottles and polyethylene bags, they're all packaging material which are floating all over the water bodies. Similarly, in the landfills, these are the ones which are really causing problem. Otherwise, the landfills will have no means of breathing. That is why the landfills are getting into problem. At the same time, we use these materials, the plastic material, for liner system, for preventing the chemicals from the waste to percolate into the water bodies. So so plastic in the other side of, if we really deliberately process and use for landfills, it becomes a preventive barrier. And if it is not otherwise, if it goes along with your waste, it becomes a obstruction. So both sides of the coin you can see when it comes to plastic from the containers. So this particular, and as far as India was one of the identified to be one of the most highly polluting plastic waste generators. So to tackle this, there was a sort of hard to recycle plastics were making way into the landfills, which were actually prevented, but still it goes into the landfill. Then also the single-use plastic. Now I'll just talk about one moment on this, because I told you I'll talk about it. In 2018, on the World Environment Day, India was the host country where we really declared this particular thing, that 50% of the plastics have single-use disposable plastics. And the major disposable plastics are from the medical or healthcare institutions and their packaging. And otherwise, this rest of it comes from the packaging waste. Packaging was never thought to be reusable or recyclable, and it was just once the material is removed, it was discarded. So then we brought this mission, beat the plastic pollution, in 2018. Afterwards, we identified these are the single use plastics which are simply used once and discarded. And there have been number of definitions of single use plastic which people have tried to identify. People have tried to, this was during that time period of 2015 to 2018, because lot of plastic was visible in the environment, and essentially mostly from the huge amount of containers. So UNEP defined the single-use plastic. India has defined the single-use plastic, and they all the definitions are really show that it is the item which is made out of plastic, which is a polymer material, which is non-biodegradable, and it will remain in the environment, and it is only used once. So that's a criminal thing. When you manufacture, you take a lot of energy, you use a lot of water, and then your product is made. And if that product is not even used for a substantial amount of time, it's really criminal, not only on the product or the raw material that is there, but also on the other sources by which it is manufactured. So this is why the plastic some of the identified single-use items are these: the water bottles, the pouches, the forks, spoons, carry bags, wet wipes, etc., etc., which have been identified to be phased out. India actually imposed a ban of single-use plastic, and as Professor Dubey has been telling, because in the last lecture also I heard him say, "Oh, it's the mismanagement of plastic," and because this plastic is mismanaged, the single-use plastic is still continuing to be manufactured. I don't know why the manufacturing has not been stopped. There can be better ways of making plastics and better durability of the plastic, which will really not create this problem. But the bans are there. A ban has been introduced. I'll just give you briefly from July 2022. The 1st of July 2022, there is a total ban on single-use plastic. And the single-use plastic, I've already listed out some few things. I'll show you: the cutlery, earbuds, packaging films, and the films, especially the thin films which the sweet box and all are wrapped. So these are some of the things, and food and beverage material containers. These are few of the, we have plethora of regulations, and plastic waste is no exemption. Plastic waste rules per se is there. There's a framework. Then also the plastics that come in biomedical waste, that has to be handled in a different way. Plastics from electronic waste has to be handled in a different way. And the plastics from hazardous material, especially those the containers, the plastic containers which are used for hazardous chemicals, have to be destroyed. So all these, the regulations actually bring out certain things. But when we look at the plastic waste rules, one of the important features that comes in place is the extended producer responsibility. Now, this extended producer responsibility has been time and again brought in. The guidelines have been brought in, and this has also been applied to the this thing, your packaging. Now, will this, of course, these are the few things which have been phased out in July 6 to 2022, and with effect from 1st July. This is the banned items of plastic you can go through. It's already there in the law. And this basically, the aim was to reduce the supply, which we have really not. We have not plugged the manufacturing. So it will not reduce because the market is still getting flooded with plastic. Then also promote the alternatives for SUP. It's not, that has also not been very well understood and very well brought in. It's still sort of under research. There is a lot of scope for research. There's a lot of scope for activities which is there. And also you look back in your rural system or your ancestral system, there is a huge amount of material that has been used instead of this plastic, which is very wise to use now. Then you have some, I will talk about a little bit on the policy. The plastic waste amendment rules, which has given, say, 10 very, very important things. Because I'm a policy person, I don't want to speak much on it. The extended producer responsibility I've already given, but in plastics I'll give a little critical viewpoint in the end if I find time. Otherwise you can ask questions, then I'll answer it. The other one is the encouraging repurpose, reuse, recycling of plastics in packaging, ban on single-use plastics and disposables, encouraging biodegradable, compostable, and recyclable. But encouraging is not enough, because you need some background of work and something spade work to be done to bring out the products which will be biodegradable, etc. That is still very go slow process. The eco-friendly, environment-friendly packaging, because that I'll tell you about how do we do it. Mechanisms for collection and channelization of plastic packaging. I have the packaging. I don't want to dispose it off. I don't want to throw it. But who will take it? What is the procedure by which I can hand over the thing? I have tried to hand over some of the packaging material when if some vendor comes to he says, no, no, I'm not responsible to take it back. Somebody else will come, but nobody came. So this is one of the thing. And another thing is segregation, so that it becomes different types of plastics are. Well, if all of them are mixed, it's very difficult to. Yeah, I think Professor Dubey also told about the mixed plastic. Mixed plastic is very difficult to recycle. If you have the specific class of plastic, it can be recycled. Use of plastic in road construction, I think we have Professor Vasudevan, or even I can talk about it on full lecture. So I'm not going to. That is the plastic, difficult plastic which goes. Then energy production, though energy production is very has to be done with great care, because the chlorinated plastic will cause havoc. They can produce dioxins and furans. Then also we need to encourage education, research, and create awareness. This is a part and parcel of the law. The law also says how gives provision, but it has still to take off. Of course, ultimately we end at a better prevention. Then prevention is better than cure. We prevent the use of plastic. Now I'll just talk a little bit about the sustainable packaging, because that's very interesting, because we have integrated the environmental criteria in the design and process and product packaging in combination. This means the environmental criteria will take care of the plastic or the packaging, whatever packaging per se we do, within this thing, such that it is recyclable, or you have a life cycle assessment of the plastic. Because I think there are so many experts on life cycle. Even I myself teach life cycle. The life cycle really makes it interesting. No, how do we go back to the material so that we don't do that particular process by which the material is difficult to recycle or material is difficult to recover. So then we come to a packaging system which will be very sustainable packaging. And sustainable packaging solutions have a very, very positive response. And once we have a sustainable packaging, we say we are answering to the circular economy, because after all it's going to recycle. And sustainable packaging recycling is not enough. After you recycle, it has to be put to use. So here are this the of course the sustainable packaging has got the little bit of history behind. The everything manufactured needs a packaging, because any manufactured material needs a packaging is a must. Food, which prevents its the same spoilage, and it's easy for distribution. Then also this gives a huge amount of employment. So if we look at the sustainable packaging as a positive approach, what are all the things which are sustainable here? You can see here wood packaging. You have a sustainable packaging here with made out of hemp. The other one is made out of tin. The ones which are made out of glass, all of them are sustainable packaging. All these packaging can be recycled. It can be put back to cycle, provided you just don't discard it, throw it on the water bodies or on the line. Pick it up and return it. And for returning, we need to provide an incentive. I've just given a few hints of what are the things which will make it. So this is something like sustainable packaging, which is made out of paper. This is a recycled paper, reused paper, and the paper packaging also can be recycled again. So it can be used again and again. Sometimes if the content is hard enough, like the ones which are there in the deodorant, etc., which can be refilled again, whereas the tube ones or squeezy type, they have to be recycled. So there are these are all known as the eco bottles. And eco bottles, this is one of the sustainable packaging which we have to adopt. And people say it doesn't look nice, no, it doesn't have an appeal. If you have the shiny plastic with those colorful labeling, it really becomes attractive. This is little less attractive, but in over the time we will get used to it. Now this was the yesterday's business. We had Coke in the water bottle, milk in the bottle, Horlicks in bottle, dalda in tin, the oil in tin. Then you have the paper packages, and rest of it are all bottle. So this was yesterday. So let's go back. If we go back and view or we use the packaging which was used by our grandparents, it will be not a problem. So but if we have to have the packaging in shops, the shops can have the packaging very easily. They just put it in a polythene bag and give it to you, whether it is a vegetable shop or a grocery shop. Will you say no? If you say no, then it becomes a problem for them. Well, what do I do? You can take your shopping bag, or they can give you in paper bag or some other alternative. And in South, for a long time, even today, when you buy your clothes or your vessels or jewelry or material, they give you a cloth bag. And the cloth bag will be fully printed of that shop. So it becomes an advertisement also. And you carry that cloth bag that lasts for many years. So you still have the name. You have bought sari from Nalli, the Nalli bag will be with you. So that's it. So some of the examples here, like that I have given. These are examples I have taken from various sources. You can go through these examples. I'm not going to talk about it because these are all talking about the sustainable packaging. One of the sustainable packaging which I want to bring it to you is that softy cones. When you have softy, you have the cone. You eat the cone. So there is no garbage. There's no thing which the packaging itself is a consumable packaging. That's the wonderful example which we can do on sustainability. Now, talking about little on the circularity and sustainability, the stages in sustainable packaging needs to be classified. We have to have reusable packaging material. The material has to be selected which can be reused. Not every material is reusable. So you have to select the material, make combination of material, or maybe a single material. That has to be done. The second concept is very difficult, that is design for reusability. You have to design the package so that the package can be opened, then again closed. If it can be closed and handed over, you can again pack it with if you give it back to them, they will pack the other material also. For the same package can be used a number of times till it's worn out. And for reinforcing that, even in the cardboard packages, we put the reinforcement of cloth and plastic. Today, plastic is also used for that. But then those plastics have to be properly pasted, or even if we have a sellotape, which we have to rip off. Then you have the design for recyclability. The other criteria is if you fuse the plastic with any other material, it becomes the multi-layered packaging becomes a very, though it's a very good packaging material, it has a higher shelf life, but still it becomes difficult to recycle. So we have to have recycling. Then also the handling of packaging. If there is a careless handling, then also it loses its strength, it loses its material, so it becomes waste. So we avoid the waste by making it good and rigid and also strong, so that, and a system for collection and take back system, which has to be not just take back but also incentivized, the last one. And the packaging protection, today we protect the packaging using plastic, so plastic becomes an integral part of the packaging. This is the thing which is an in-house packaging thing, which is shown in Naroda Industrial Park of Ahmedabad, where the industry themselves share their packaging. If the packaging material goes out with the product, if the product is delivered and packaging is returned, it comes to a place called packaging house. And that packaging house will again see which other organization. So there are lots of industries But all these things are supported by a packaging design, packaging optimization, packaging problem solving. This is the biggest thing. Then innovation. Then you have the artwork development. You just make it a little more fancy and sell it back. Then there is a vendor development. And finally, the procurement. The packaging goes back. So within that industry, though there are about 50 industrial, I think more than 50 industrial units in Naroda, all of them have a common packaging house where they actually center their packaging. They buy their packaging from there, they return their packaging to them. So this is one of the best systems I have myself gone and seen, and I would like that this could be, I could be able to give one more deliberation on this. It's really a system which works. Now, this, of course, Alan McCarthy Foundation, I think Professor Dubey has also shown, everybody has shown. I just want to give a little different interpretation to this because I worked with Alan McCarthy. On your right hand is your industrial product, on your left hand is your natural product. If you look at the natural product, there's a natural recycling system. Whereas in the industrial product, at every stage, you have to put it back into the system. It doesn't take it automatically. So if you put it back into the system, you'll get the result of a circular economy. It comes back in the system, it circulates within the system. It could be from the process, it could be from the end of after use. Now, the alternatives to carry bag, I'll speak about some futuristic approach. The compostable plastics, which is actually degrades in the presence of water, carbon dioxide, and also it could be it could form a compost and also undertake the biological organisms can act on it. So this is also, this is a natural plastic which is made out of cellulose. If you look at cellulose, it has all the quality of plastics. Similarly, the compostable carry bags. So these are few things which we can use from petro-based. If we divert to the from conventional petro-based to the compostable material, it will give, from the natural material, it will definitely give the result. This is the vision of Alan McCarthy Foundation, the new plastics economy vision, where they are also giving, the red circle is on elimination. If we can eliminate the use of plastic, which is going to be an environmental problem, we can definitely come for, we have to do certain innovation and certain process to circulate. It has to be an effort. So this is what they want to do. This is the new plastic. There are so many things. The new plastic economy has got so many different models. That is a separate chapter by altogether. But definitely, just now there is an international negotiation going on putting the plastic back to cycle, not to allow it to, because the marine litter became a big problem. So we have gone in for the new note for the internationally legally binding instrument. Now, the last part of it is on smart packaging. There are certain concepts which are being developed. The smart packaging, where the production costs are to be kept high, so that you have a packaging which can be opened, put back. So that I said reusable it becomes. Then optimization of the supply chain, so that you see the packaging, even though it may be a little heavy, but it will withstand the wear and tear transport, so that there will be a sort of balance between the maintenance of the packaging and reuse. Then also the bulk packaging, which really saves the cost. Today, lot of bulk packaging is being done by the pharma, cosmetics, all of them. They put one carton and they put those some partition and put the material, and when they sell it, they just sell the product. They don't sell original packaging. Then also you have to have design for reusable and recyclable. Then comes the last but the least is the green packaging. The green packaging is here I've just shown the color. Now, what is green packaging? In India, we have banana peels, we have the coconut hulls, the palm, the rice husk, the beet sugars, the industrial waste and sustainable wood products. All of them contribute to the sustainable material in the packaging. This is the food packaging which I'm talking about. Everybody knows these are different types of leaves. The different family of plants which have broad leaves, which are used food for food storage as well as eating. So they all form the D and G are the final plate which is formed. The other ones which are big enough, you eat directly in them. So these are some of the plants like the Salmonella robusta. Then you have the adaku. Then you have the modunga, monospama. Then you have the various leaves which are very common, and in India it's very well identified. The other one is the lotus leaf. Then you have the badam leaf, the almond leaf from the almond tree, which are all big and broad. So these are all used for directly for consuming food. Instead of plate, you use this. Don't use or throw away plates. Now, containers which carry, you have the palm leaves, you have the palm woven baskets, which is there. I got some toys from Chennai, which were packed in these palm baskets, and with hay in between for fillers. Not a single toy was broken. It was made out of clay for my Navratri, and none of the toys were broken because they were packed with this. So this is a bio packaging, not only for food but also for other things. So these are all the things where even jaggery, which can actually melt in higher temperature, can be packed, but this particular thing doesn't allow it to melt. So the you pack it when it's green, then it becomes sort of dry. It absorbs the heat. It doesn't allow it to be. Then we have the typical banana leaf where we serve food and also offer to the god all our thing which we make for god, the sweet, etc., which is there. The banana leaf is very common in South India, and here also now everybody is trying to eat the banana leaf. If you want to use it as a packaging, you have to slightly bake it so it becomes soft to use. So this is what I wanted to tell. The sustainability, I didn't go deep into any of them, but an overview I suppose I could give as to how we can organize the plastics in the packaging. And also I also said a little bit of solution, that is a substitute for plastic which is safe for environment. Thank you very much.